I have two girls at home, have two parents who had cancer. They're 10 and 7. They're completely traumatized. And I decided I needed to get a hold of, our emotional well-being and our physical.
Yeah, check it out, man. This is your boy Akon, and right now you're tuned in to the Millionaire Student Show with my man, Sashin Govender.
Yo, it's Rich the Kid on the Millionaire Student Show.
Hi, I'm Ariani Celeste, and you're tuning in to the Millionaire Student Show.
What's up, y'all? Tune into the Millionaire Student Show with Andy Milanakis.
Yo, this your boy Soldier Boy. You tuned into the Millionaire Student Show with Sasha. Keep it locked right here.
We're on the Millionaire Student Show with Elissa Goodman, and author of Cancer Hacks, Holistic Guide to Overcoming Your Fears and Healing Cancer. And today is all about, health. And one of the 4 pillars, health, wealth, spirituality, and relationships. We're going to go into health. We're just not going to talk about, health and how it could physically make a difference in your life, but also the mental shift as well. Elissa, firstly, thank you so much for being on the show. And for those who don't really know who you are and what your background is and what you've managed to, actually fight, because we're gonna go into, so deep into not just cancer, but the mental preparation of fighting it, as well as
Right.
your experience. So who are you, and what's your background like?
So I am a cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with cancer at 32. But my background is that I came into the world, I think, with not a very strong immune system. I had a low white blood cell count, and growing up, I got every illness known to man. I mean, everything that you could get, I got. So I was constantly fighting a sort of not, compromised immune system. And so I was always feeling behind the 8 ball. And it wasn't only physically, but because of that, emotionally, I did feel behind the 8 ball. So I was constantly playing catch up and trying to figure out how to get my energy up and feel better. And I had a mother who was a really bad asthmatic, and she would go to a health ranch a couple times a year. And this was before any of this was popular. It was way ahead of its time. It was yoga, they grew their own food, it was meditation, massages every day, exercise, hiking. It was beautiful. And she took me with her when I was a teenager to see if she could, help with my both physical and emotional well-being. And I just fell in love with the place. And I watched in 7 days these women that she took with her, and especially her, because she couldn't survive without an inhaler, they changed. She didn't need her inhaler by the end of 7 days after eating this way. Wow. And living this way. And these women came depressed, sleep deprived, just anxious, also weight, and they were completely different women at the end of the week. So I think that got instilled in my brain as I got older, but I came from a very type A, very entrepreneur, very hardworking family. So that was still in my blood, and I moved to New York and worked in the advertising business. Late nights, didn't eat very well, just lots of caffeine.
Missing a few meals.
Yes,
Yeah.
Tons. And I really stressed myself out. I was really trying to climb the corporate ladder is what I thought I should do. And then I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. So that's when I realized, and it was an early stage, and that's when I realized, wow, my life is not working. It scared me to death. Cancer, you hear the word cancer and you think I could die.
Yeah.
So what was lucky for me is I got it into my instincts. I took a step back out from the fear. It was huge fear. And I realized that it was an early stage. And I also realized that, wow, I saw when I was growing up, these women that went to the health ranch and ate this way and lived this lifestyle, were really healthy in just 7 days. So I kind of took that and dove into the healthy lifestyle. I had just moved from New York to LA, and there was juicing here and yoga and meditation, and of course LA is a little bit ahead of a lot of places in the world with all that. There was Mrs. Gooch's at the time, not Whole Foods, but prior to that. But so I became vegan. I did all the natural remedies and everything, and I healed. basically. But I did a little radiation because they scared me into doing Western meds. And I wish I hadn't, because when I did the radiation, I got hypothyroidism because they radiated my thyroid. So then that caused a lot of issues in regards to getting pregnant after that. And then I got Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease, one of the fastest growing today. So there's a lot of health issues. And then 11 years after my diagnosis, my husband was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And it was a much farther along stage. And he did every single thing the doctors told him to do. He did 2 bone marrow transplants in a year and a half, and he passed away of fungal pneumonia at 45. Wow. So that's when I realized, wow, you know, I have 2 girls at home, I have 2 parents who had cancer. They're 10 and 7, they're completely traumatized. And I decided I needed to get a hold of, you know, our emotional well-being and our physical. And I went back to school and studied all of that, Eastern and Western, all the different modalities. And then when I graduated, I was lucky enough to put some food programs together for some restaurants in LA, some really popular restaurants. So now, over the years, I see clients one-on-one, a lot of cancer, a lot of autoimmune, a lot of digestive issues, a lot of emotional as well, because that's definitely on the rise. We haven't gotten better with any of it, sadly. And I do a food-based program that I cook and deliver to 100 people every month.
Wow.
So I cook soups, salads, tonics, lattes, all kinds of broth, and it's homemade, and it's delivered to them twice a week, and it's been a huge success, and it's been 4 years.
Did this actually come from a passion, or is it just that you wanted to make a difference? You want to, you know, go out there and, you know, educate people, hey, don't make the same mistakes, don't have the same patterns, because it will lead to cancer.
Absolutely, both. I really still want to make a difference, but I'm passionate about, I know what can heal. I've seen myself heal from various illnesses, many of them, and I've seen other people heal by changing their diet and their lifestyle and their mental patterns and letting go some trauma. So, but the program has been so incredible because I get to service people that maybe I wouldn't normally get to be in touch with as a client. And they get to eat my food for 5 days. They can reset their body with no sugar, no gluten, no dairy, no processed, no GMO. It's like 45 plus different vegetables. People don't eat that way, as we know. So they get to see what it feels like. Mental fog is lifted, anxiety is lessened, sleep is better, you know, skin is better, just energy is increased. It's great. It's wild after 5 days. So seeing that and seeing the reviews and testimonials from people, it's like, oh my God, this is unbelievable and really gratifying.
So going back into, you know, your entire experience with, you know, cancer, what was one of your scariest days and how did you overcome it?
So the scariest day was really seeing a cancer doctor and having them say to you, you know, that you're going to have to do chemo and radiation and you might have to freeze your eggs because I hadn't had kids yet. Do you have a donor that can do a transplant? I mean, they're way ahead of you in terms of,
preparing you for the worst.
Yeah, they scare the living shit out of you. And that I don't think is right. And I think doctors still do that. Then there was a doctor that I saw 3. One sat me down. This is how I got through it. One sat me down and said, wow, it's an early stage. You know, what's your life like? Are you happy? Are you passionate about what you do? Do you love, you know, what you're doing? This is how I got through it. One sat me down and said, wow, it's an early stage. You know, what's your life like? Are you happy? Are you passionate about what you do? Do you love, you know, what you're doing? Are you in a good relationship? Do you love your work? And I just burst into tears and I was like, I'm miserable. I don't love LA. I loved New York. My husband is a New Yorker through and through, so he hated it here. My job, I worked for Vogue magazine, which I thought was going to be the great premier job, and it was Devil Wears Prada. I mean, it was horrible. Everything wasn't coming together. So I wasn't happy, and I wasn't, you know, passionate about what I was doing, and I was massively stressed. And he's like, let's see if we can, you know, get you back to a better place emotionally. This is as much of an emotional component as it is a physical for you. So that's really how I got through it. I was like, wow, here's someone that believes like we can do it this way, which you still don't see today.
Yeah, and I mean, you had to go to three different
Yes.
doctors.
And I almost didn't go to that last one.
Yeah, I mean, and people nowadays, they get diagnosed and they think it's the end of their life.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually the whole mental preparation, which is, it's much easier said than done until you actually are in that situation. Let's talk about cancer hacks. What is a cancer hack?
A cancer hacks is just something that you can do to hopefully avoid getting cancer, or actually any illness, you know, any kind of illness. I mean, it really is the basic stuff that we need to do to heal our bodies and to keep our energy up and to keep our mental well-being going. I mean, it's just eating real whole food, you know, trying to go organic without the pesticides, and also healthier animal proteins without the hormones and the antibiotics. And it's just the basics, like drinking enough water so you're hydrated, because we are so dehydrated society. We're not getting enough minerals. It's, you know, it's also looking deeper into why we have cancer or these health issues. Do we have more toxins than we need in our organs and in our tissues? And there are tests for that. Do we not have enough beneficial bacteria in our gut? Because that's where your immunity is, and that's where your serotonin is produced. So there are tests for that as well. So also going deeper into finding a doctor who can test for nutrient deficiencies or test for toxicity levels, or, you know, if we have antibodies that are creating immune responses. So that's
how
what
often would you recommend someone, you know, just getting checked out and going through a few tests?
Once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah, is really like just to have a baseline. And it depends on if you have a health issue. So I feel like if you can have a baseline of these things, it's huge, you know, where your vitamin D levels are, and just there's some really amazing tests these days from functional MDs or naturopaths even that are interested in getting to the root cause, and that's what I'm all about.
Now, how much is inherited versus your actual lifestyle, how you eat, how you take care of yourself?
That's a really good question. I mean, that's the question that everyone asks.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe that 10% is genetic, 90% is lifestyle and diet. I just, you know, because I've seen too much of people that, you know, did have people in their family who had cancer or had diabetes or had, you know, health issues that didn't get it or had got it and then healed. So I think really it's lifestyle.
90%.
90%.
Wow.
Is what I think.
So what does an anti-cancer holistic lifestyle look like?
An anti-cancer lifestyle looks like, it really is getting in touch with your stress first and foremost, because we live in a very stressed environment. And how do we come to terms with the rat race that, you know, we are living, like to step back from it and give our bodies some kind of like rest, relaxation, know that we still can be successful with doing that, because that's, I think, on everybody's mind. We don't have to work 24/7, and we need to sleep 8 hours, I feel, plus. So I think we have been, over the years, told that, you know, 5 hours is enough, and you'll be super successful because you have all those hours in the day to be productive. But I think that over time, it is actually killing us. So it's the basics of getting the stress under control. I love meditation. I love yoga. I love being out in nature. I also love, you know, also energy healing in terms of releasing traumatic patterns that we had in the past. So we hold on to trauma, and that puts our body into a fight or flight mode. So it's energy healing is a very LA kind of woo-woo thing to say, but there are people who can release, you know, energy patterns in your body and open up chakras and open up energy flow so everything can flow properly, so we can get to that place where we let go of the trauma that we're holding on to, so we don't live in a fight or flight mode. It's eating whole, real foods and organic, like I said earlier.
Foods.
Yeah.
So common foods contribute, though, to someone's chance of developing cancer.
Yes.
What foods do you recommend?
Recommend
and what do you,
anti-cancer?
and stay away from it. Like, what do you avoid?
I avoid sugar, I avoid dairy, those are huge. I avoid a lot of processed food. I avoid gluten. Not everybody has a gluten intolerance, but gluten is inflammatory. So anything inflammatory, I avoid also animal protein. I eat some. I'm an 80-20 girl, 80% vegan, 20% animal.
Okay.
So I really don't feel like I feel strong enough or healthy enough without some. I'm more of a pescatarian. So, but I think animal protein is so toxic these days, unless it's really high quality. And I think that we're overdoing the animal protein per day. We're eating up to 100 grams and we only need 46 to 56 grams a day. So unless we're like working out like crazy and, but I think the animal protein is really doing a number because we can't break it down and we can't get it out of the body fast enough. So it ferments and stays in there, and I think it does a number on us.
What's the youngest kid that you've ever, seen being diagnosed with cancer?
Oh, wow. Babies.
So
yeah, like,
would you still say 90% though? 90% comes from, their habits, or do you feel like their parents, obviously ate the wrong type of food, or, maybe had the wrong type of mindset and sort of, because, we speak it into existence. The minute you mention a word, a disease, you call it into your life in due time.
True.
You start to speak it and we start to live it. And it's not that fear, hey, I don't want to experience cancer, but you speak it into existence. You're making it a reality.
Yeah.
So kids, from a parent's perspective, what advice would you give parents then?
True. And you're so right, because I think it is a lot to do with the parents' emotional well-being, stress levels, the food they're eating, what they've been exposed to in the past, because yes, there are like 250 plus toxins in the womb, and there's like 150 plus toxins in the mother's milk, breast milk. So so that could, the kid could not have a strong immune system, sort of like I did, and develop some things earlier. Yes. So I would say, it is really crucial when you are pregnant and, to deal with emotional, to be like, I had one kid where I was really stressed and working like crazy, and I could tell the difference with her. Yeah. And the other one, I did yoga and I wasn't working and I was eating well. And I could tell the difference between the two.
That's cool. That's fine. We'll pick it
Sorry
up
about that.
No, it's no, don't stress. Don't. Okay, we'll pick it up from. So how do you? That's cool. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's natural. As
Yes.
I like it. Because there's so much of editing. Yeah.
Thank God for editing.
Yeah. And I was hearing the chopping in the background. It's cool.
Okay.
As long as do you want to tell her? It's fine.
Yeah, she's good.
Okay,
She's good.
Perfect. So from a mental perspective and a mental shift, the day you get told, hey, you're diagnosed with cancer, from there onwards, how do you make that shift? How do you realign yourself? The day you get told, hey, you're diagnosed with cancer, from there onwards, how do you make that shift? How do you realign yourself? How do you get back on track? How do you tell yourself, hey, I'm going to, cure myself mentally before I, go out there and go through all the medication and that type of route?
I think that what I tell people, and I told myself was, we're all born with these instincts, and we know that, we can really heal anything. Our instincts know what to do. Our instincts tell us what to eat, what to think, how to feel. And I think we just get off track, but our instincts are always right. So I would say to people, really get back in touch with those instincts, and, also know that these diseases aren't going to, they're not our destiny, and they aren't supposed to be here to, kill us. They're here to give us a wake-up call. So I basically, it was a wake-up call for me. So emotionally, I was like, this isn't working. I'm not happy. I'm not doing what I love and I'm passionate about. So I need to regroup and really take a step back and figure out what that is. What do I love? What fills me up? What makes me passionate? And the biggest thing I think of all is I didn't love myself. So self-love is huge. I think that, I was beat up on myself consistently, and I'm sure you see that a lot with everything that goes on. But I basically got in touch with some more self-love. I'm here for a reason on this planet, and I know I'm here to make a difference with whatever road that is that I walk down, but I know that in order to do that, I have to love myself.
And on that part of self-love, there's people out there that love others more than they actually love themselves.
True. Mostly everyone.
So
That's...
do you feel in due time, we'll get to a point where everything will be cured, and we'll never have to go through the, you going out there and the actual unconditional route? Do you feel like, everything will be cured, all diseases will be cured in due time, and doctors or scientists will come up with cures, and because the world's adapting and changing, and technology is just creating all these different formulas and medication, etc.,
Right.
lasers. So what's your opinion on that?
That is such a good question too, because I'm on the fence about that. I want that to happen. I want that to be the case. I think that we're getting the word out there that we can heal from these things, and not, completely living in a fear-based mode about them, and actually going down the Western route of medicine, because I feel like that Western route and that fear factor that we have had in place all these years is really not doing us any. It's not healing us. So we have to find a different way. We have to figure out emotionally how to get in a better place for ourselves and the stress. And I do hope that all of this self-love and meditation and, just de-stressing and not taking things so seriously in our life will come about. I think that is the path to healing, and also getting back to eating real food like we did in the old days, not what's happened in the last century. We've gotten off track. The chemicals that are in food and all of that is killing us.
Yeah.
So I hope that we can get there. And I think that, drugs are good in some respects, but I think the emotional mind altering in terms of, getting your mind in a better perspective and knowing that you can accomplish these things yourself, and empowering yourself is the biggest thing that will help.
I mean, you said you stepped away from eating sugar, or anything that has sugar in it.
Yep.
Does sugar really feed cancer?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The PET scan that you get, they actually shoot a IV into you that is completely glucose sugar based, and then your cancer cells light up on the PET scan. So if that doesn't tell you sugar is, those cancer cells love sugar. Yes.
So from a perspective of eating frequently, because it's not just eating healthy, it's how many meals you need to eat per day, etc. Nowadays restaurants out there,
Right.
I mean, you don't know what they're cooking with,
No.
and you don't know what's, whether they're buying, cheaper food just to go out there and make profit at the cost of people's health. Do you feel like in due time, the restaurant industry will take a knock when people start to get educated about, organic food? Or maybe there's specific restaurants, and it's so crazy when you walk into an organic restaurant, it's not as busy as,
I know.
as like a KFC, a Kentucky chicken, or even, all these fast food restaurants. McDonald's, in fact. So do you feel in due time people, after they start to get educated about it?
I would love to see that happen too. But it worries me because, these big companies, Coca-Cola and, just these, Nestle and these bigger companies are, producing products, and they're out there to make money, and those products aren't healthy. And restaurants are
Look at McDonald's.
Right.
Has the most ridiculous, food, but the best system out there.
Yeah.
And that's just generated some serious money for them.
Right.
So
I think that's going to continue. I mean,
Yeah.
we're in that society of, people want to make money and be successful.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that we're just scratching at the surface, sadly. I wish
Yeah.
it was bigger than that. I wish we were really knocking down some, walls, but I think we're just, scratching at the surface.
So what does your breakfast, lunch, and dinner look like?
So I'm a bit of an intermittent faster. So that's very popular right now, but I've been doing it for years. And intermittent fasting is when you stop eating at a certain time and you wait 14 to 16 hours until you eat an actual meal again. So what that does is it gives your digestive system a break from digesting food. And it also helps with cellular turnover. So in the morning I wish I wasn't a coffee drinker, but I love coffee. And I actually put collagen peptides, which in my coffee, because that helps satiate me. And I do some MCT oil. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a medium chain triglyceride. It just is great it goes right through the liver to the brain for energy. And so it also is satiating. So I do that and I always have a green juice because I'm a big juicer. I'm a big vegetable girl. I mean, that's where the nutrients are.
Yeah.
So I don't put any fruit in my juices, but I juice almost every day with greens and I mix it up. And it could be simple, like cucumber, celery, ginger, lemon, romaine, something like that. Or it could be like, dandelion greens, which is incredible for detoxifying the liver, and arugula, and there's just some amazing greens, and I don't think we get enough vegetables in our diet. It's hard to. I think we need 9 cups, and people are they sort of are like, wow, that's a lot. So that's my breakfast. And then lunch would be probably a vegan meal with probably something like tempeh, which I love because it's a great protein source, or lentils or chickpeas, with also roasted vegetables and greens as well, nuts and seeds. And then dinner sometimes is probably a animal protein. It could be wild salmon with also, again, a salad and cooked vegetables and definitely a complex carb, because these days we're sort of deprived on carbs, and carbs are where the minerals are. So it helps keep us calm and relaxed. And minerals also help water go into our cells. So I think that I kind of just have a balance. Like I said, I'm an 80-20, I'm a flexitarian. I mean, I'm not always so good. I love pizza and pasta.
Was that very similar to, before you got diagnosed?
No,
yeah, it's
not
so
at all.
crazy how people need to go through that, that phase where they get tested, or they have that experience, and then they start to make that shift.
Yeah, I was eating tons of candy and sugar, and in those days it was fat-free cookies. Remember, there was all this craze of sugar-free, fat-free, and we were just gobbling that up, and it just was full of chemicals and sugar.
Yeah. So let's go back to your book. What should people know about it? I mean, and where can they get it?
They can get it on Amazon.
Okay.
And just came out with an audio version as well. So, and what they should know is it's a book about what my husband and I did right and what we did wrong. So we both had different paths, and so it's just a perspective of what the path we took and what worked and what didn't work. And I've dealt with a lot of cancer clients, and I've seen what works and what doesn't work. So I guess what I really want people to take away from is you can heal from anything.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to heal and stay on this planet and live a life that is full and thriving, you absolutely can, even if it's stage 4 cancer.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, Elissa, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being on the Millionaire Student Show. So if you want the book, get it from Amazon, but understand that, cancer can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, you could just wake up one morning, but it's the patterns, and you create those patterns.
Exactly.
So once again, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and helping cure cancer before people even get it.
Thank you.
Thank you.